do the same thing as last time. Everyone's happy.
Those were up, and they did.
We're smart, and my...
He told me enough.
No, I.
Here's Chuck.
Hey everyone, it's Don G. Corleone here, and I'm here with a brand new movie review. And this movie review is going to be for a comedy sequel. It's a sequel to a comedy film I reviewed last week. Directed by two iconic directors and starring an iconic comedy duo as the male leads. And this film is going to be for none other than 2014's 22 Jump Street, once again directed by Laura Miller. So how does this plot go? Well, after making their way through high school twice, big changes are in store for Officers Schmidt and Jenko, once again played by Hill and Tatum, when they go deep undercover at a local college. When Jenko meets a kindred spirit on the football team, and Schmidt infiltrates a bohemian art major scene, they begin to question their partnership. Now they don't have to just crack the case, they have to figure out if they can have a mature relationship. And these two overgrown adolescents can grow from freshmen to real men. College might be the best thing that ever happened to them. Then in March 2012, Sony Pictures... So how was this made? Well, in March 2012, Sony Pictures announced it was pursuing a sequel to 21 Jump Street, signing a deal that would see Hill and Michael Bacall return to write a script treatment that would again be developed by Bacall and undergo rewrites by Oren Uzi and Ronnie Rothman. The film was originally scheduled to be released on June 6, 2014. Then in May 2013, it was announced that the film would be pushed back a week until June 13, 2014. Then in June 2013, it was announced that the film would be titled 22 Jump Street. In July 2013, Lord and Miller confirmed they would return to direct the film. In September 2013, Amber Stevens joined the cast of the film. In September 2013, Kurt Russell mentioned that his son Wyatt turned down a role in the Hunger Games sequels to star in this movie. Principal photography began September 28, 2013 in New Orleans, Louisiana, with shots in San Juan, Puerto Rico as well. Acting in the shots in this movie were the spring break in Puerto Mexico, and ended on December 15, 2013. On-campus scenes featuring the fictional MC State were filmed on the Uptown campus on Tulane University. According to Lauren Miller in the home release commentary, they wanted Cate Blanchett for the end credits sequence, and a cameo also followed to the Carte Blanche joke. But she was busy with Carol, the Minutemen, and How to Train Your Dragon 2. Sadly. And the end titles featuring satirical concepts of an ongoing series of Jump Street films and merchandise were designed by the studio Alma Mater. So after all that, film being shot and marketed and stuff, the film would be premiering on June 4th, 2014 in New York City, and then be released theatrically in the United States 9 days later by Columbia Pictures and MGM. Like that first film, surprisingly, it also received generally positive reviews, and grossed more than its predecessor with $331 million worldwide. A third film, as well as a possible crossover with the Men in Black franchise, were discussed, originally planned, but they never came to fruition, and a female-led spinoff was later in development, but also did not come to fruition, thank God. Let's hope it never happens. As for my reaction, well, I think I like this movie slightly more than the first film. I still remember seeing this movie in theaters during my high school years. Man, I can't believe it's been 9 years since that day. 9. This film is funnier and summarizes why rehash sequels do not work. When I was about to give up on modern comedies, here comes a sequel that outdoes the original 10 times or more. Tatum is excellent as the slowest of the pair, proving as a good comedian both physically and delivering some of the funniest lines in the movie. And his partner Hill redeems himself from the depths of Wolf with a turn that shows how talented he can be. His multi-dimensional geek fully forms a perfect whole with the physical and sweet jock turn by Tatum. And before we can catch our breaths, the leads are back in school, but this time they're in college, and they're trying to stop the viral distribution of a new drug. We all know how it will turn out, but the setup is to put these two in environments where they will not fit because of the obvious. Hillwell spins his character in a different dimension and takes on a romantic and romantic persona. His romance and breakup scenes rank way up there with the zaniness of some like it. We are not even prepared even more in the open times for some of the exchanges between the two actors when every other line has a double meaning. This is classic comedy. In particular, the scene in the psychologist's office has pretty much had everybody laugh out loud because absolutely no one on screen was turned to the same channel, and it kept getting funnier and funnier. For a moment, I thought, I had no idea what I was watching at first, and then some of it's, where this time Hill and Tatum do an amazing job by taking their bromance into new levels. And Tatum is definitely having the time of his life, as he finds his soulmate in school and apparently his destiny in life. Here he's living his dream, succeeding at every possible endeavor, being popular, sharing every moment with his newly found friend. This is serious competition for his undercover buddy, and the writers take flight with it when we see the reaction in Hill's face in their further exchanges. The silly action scenes and the vulgarity that peppers and ruins much of what they call comedy nowadays takes a second seat to the development of the characters here. We're not sitting listening to boring expositions or immemorable descriptions of bathroom humor. Yes, those elements are carefully placed, and what comes out is the silliness, the naivete and stupidity of how the characters deal with their relationships with each other. What might have been vulgar in another film, here ranks as some of the best comedy in the movies. There are many tributes and references to those films throughout 22. Be ready to acknowledge the talents of Alan, Benny, H, and a few others as wings are given to the audience. This might be a highbrow comedy, but it is beautifully delivered. Like much of the credits once again goes to the incredible work by Tatum and the fine support Hill gives him, and you'll be laughing out loud over and over. Like half the time, I'm usually the kind of person that thinks the original is always the best, but on very rare occasions. The sequel can surpass its predecessor, and of course, 22 Jump Street is one of them. It has bigger action, some better jokes than 21. It's a sequel that's self-aware and spoofing the sequel genre and talking about rehashing the same old stuff. It distances itself from the television series, almost like the original, and brings a fresh take to the buddy cop genre. First of all, Jonah Hill has to have been laughing inside the past couple weeks over the situation about his using a gay slur to paparazzi. There's a running gag in the film, and Tatum's character just found out that using gay slurs isn't cool, and it comes to the head at the worst time when he decides to educate a villain on how not to use gay slurs, which is more important than keeping his cover. It's even funnier watching Jonah Hill in this scene, knowing what he had been dealing with during the time this movie was released. And secondly, the credits. OMG, Jump Street goes meta in the end credits, and it becomes fully self-aware. It's a shame we never saw a 23 Jump Streets. Despite the fact the film pretty much referenced this twice. Because the ending seems to say, how many times could we possibly do this? And it's a hilarious results. Tatum and Hill are such a great team, and it's a real shame we never ended up getting a 23 Jump Street, because I would have loved to see an actual one get made and actually conclude the story properly. The best part about the sequel is the fact that Lord and Miller were not shy at all at making fun of themselves, and the fact that the film was a sequel. The movie was already gut-busting and why its never-ending line of never stale, always fresh in numerous types of comedy, but the fact the film is so darn self-aware, filled with writing right up to the edge of the fourth wall, and hurting off a hailstorm of meta gigs made the film work absolutely perfect as a follow-up to the first film. Once again, the movie has a great cast, especially the new additions to the film, and Tatum and Hill have great comedic chemistry together. The duo plays so well off each other that they make the jokes look like there was no effort whatsoever in them, and making the film just one long smooth sail through calm comedy waters. 22 Jump Street is just fun and absolutely hilarious to the point it's just as good as the first film, something very rare in the world of sequels. Like the first film, I would be watching this movie many, many more times in the future, aka today. It's near saying how well written this film is, especially for a comedy film, and it just balances realism and absurdity enough to keep you laughing the whole time. In fact, there are particular moments of the film which go beyond hilarious, almost a new level of hysterics that you can't just describe. You'll know exactly what moments they are when you watch, and if you're anything like me, you'll be left in tears by it. Not like tears like Marley and me, but because you'll actually be in pain from laughing so much. Like, I thought originally Bad Neighbors seemed like it would be the comedy of 2014, but 22 Jump Street made it look as funny as Freeberg and Seltzer film. No, I'm exaggerating. Those fuckers are never funny. Like, Ice Cube can probably make his claim as having the funniest moment in the film, but to maintain the magic of such a scene, I won't even start to describe it. The rest of the film does not fall short either. Even the end credits alone provide more laughs than 90% of comedy films out there. By Ice Cube's funny moments, I'll describe this. Basically, Schmidt meets this chick in college whom he falls in love with, but unfortunately he finds out it turned out to be Ice Cube's character's daughter that he had basically had sex with and fell in love with. And it makes Ice Cube so furious as hell throughout most of the film. And I can still all remember that laughter in the theater when Jenko went crazy as soon as he found out that pretty much Schmidt fucked the captain's daughter. God. However, is there some bad qualities with the film? Well, sure. There's going to be a few. First off, I didn't really like the prison scene that features the cameos of Mr. Walters and Eric because technically, you remember when Walter's penis got shot off by Schmidt in the first film? And now he has a vagina, and it's technically, from what we hear, he's pretty much raping Eric every night. And you even have a disturbing post-credit scene where Walters mentions that, where he pretty much tells Eric that he's late, aka pregnant. So yeah, I did not find that all very funny, and that's just kind of disturbing and disgusting. Since Mr. Walters is supposed to be a dude. So, the gag of him having a vagina does not work. No, we did not need that. They could have just kept Walters and Eric out of the movie. Really, I mean, we could have just left the post-credit scene out of the film. Or could have just say Eric got transferred to a different cell. Likely. And just only have Walters in the scene. Second off, yeah, it does repeat the first one. But it is meant to do that. And third, I feel like Jenko's new friend Zook is kind of unlikable at times. But I can let all those bad qualities slide. Because in the end, 22 Jump Street is a perfect continuation of the first film and a perfect example of parrying sequels that do the same shit and have a reason to fail. And it's also one of the prime examples of a sequel that's even better than its predecessor. I would highly recommend watching and buying this movie for yourself for sure. Anyway, that's it for my review of 22 Jump Street. If you're wondering how I'm going to rate 22 Jump Street, here's how I'm going to rate this movie. So overall, if you loved the first movie and want to see more of these two guys together for another round, then I would easily recommend watching this movie, then buying it and adding it to your shelf for sure. And if you're wondering how I'm going to rate 22 Jump Street, I'm going to give 22 Jump Street a 9.5 out of 10. There we go. That wraps up my review of 22 Jump Street. And that wraps up the Jump Street duology. So, kind of ironic how Rambo Raff reviewed this duology around the same month I reviewed this duology. So, yeah. Probably one of the first times that's happened both at once. But yeah, it's a shame we never got a third one. Real shame. But until then, guys, that'll be it for this review. Thank y'all for watching. If you like this and want to see more, don't forget to like, subscribe to Don G. Corleone.